There is an American commentator by the name of Dave Rubin. This is Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin used to be involved with the Young Turks, TYT. Dave Rubin famously left the Young Turks and went and started to do his own thing. Dave Rubin is a huge Zionist. As you can probably see, half of those photos are from Israel. Dear. And Dave Rubin is a gay married man with surrogate children. And it was only when people at the Blaze and other conservative right-wing things realized, that he was a gay married man adopting children from surrogacy, that they all turned on him and ran away from him. So he is a shadow of his former self when it comes to his, what's the right word? His cut through in media. Mm-hmm. And his classic line for the past kind of 10 years is, "I didn't leave the left left me." Right. Describing himself as a classical liberal. Right, background. He was on Jubilee in this latest episode. Being very clear, I wanted to say to people, I always tell you to use the question, what's your metric for that? You've heard me say this, Chewy. I've said it 100 times. So what's your metric for that claim? We were talking about Parker Get a Job just the other day, who's a young, not millennial, Zennial, a Zen person, a Channel Z person. And he pops up on this Jubilee and asks the perfect question of Dave Rubin. Remember, Fano, we say it all the time. What's your metric for making that claim? Here we go. Parker, get a job.
Hi, how are you?
All right, good. What is one main metric that Donald Trump has made better off since he got in office? So like an example would be GDP, unemployment, inflation, etc.
Well, we'll go back. So the prompt is, and remember, Dave Rubin gets to make the prompt. The prompt is, if you still vote for Democrats in 2026, you're voting for broken cities, broken schools, and broken borders. That's the prompt that Dave Rubin has chosen to go up against these people. Parker has just asked him about his metric to say Trump's doing a better job. What's your metric for that?
Better off since he got in office. So like an example would be GDP, unemployment, inflation, etc.
Well, right now, first off, the big beautiful bill was just passed last year, and it's kicking in now, right? It's kicking in now. Okay,
so, literally laughing at him. This group of 20-somethings around him, literally laughing at him. He's the guest. He's chosen the prompts. What's the metric? Laughing at him.
So we're going to now see results of that, like even the tariffs. All right, so let's do tariffs. Are you for or against tariffs?
Against the universal tariff. So what's the main metric that he made better off?
What?
What's the main metric that he made better off? GDP, unemployment, inflation? Do you have any idea?
Listen.
I don't think you do.
Do you think, hold on. So you're arguing that things economically were better under Joe Biden
at the end of his administration, absolutely.
Yeah. So can you give me an example of how?
Yeah, GDP growth was better off. Real median wage growth was better off. Inflation was better off at the end of his administration. Unemployment was better off at the end of his administration. We had the worst year of job growth in the past 4 years, just this last year under Trump's administration. The inflation, 3.8% year over year since Trump got in office. We're seeing all of those economic indicators become worse off. Can you tell me anything that he's done to make it better off? You say it's broken for Democrats. It sounds like it's broken right now under Trump.
Have you looked at the stock market?
It's worse off in terms of growth in 2025 as compared to 2024. If you look at Dow Jones and S&P 500.
They're both up quite a bit right now.
But lower rate.
This is his analysis. They're both up quite a bit right now. Something that doesn't come up in this, Chewy, which I learned the other day. Stock market at the moment is inflated based on 6 AI companies. Like if it wasn't for those 6 AI companies, it would be underperforming. It all disappears. And when they burst that bubble, you watch what's going to happen.
Doing quite well. Things don't happen overnight. So Donald Trump, for example, things don't. That's true. There's reality. There's actual reality. Like you put policies into place, and they don't just kick in the next day, right?
Well, Donald Trump, a year and a half.
Donald Trump said when the tariffs.
He said in a year, prices would be down 50% for electricity. Are they up right now?
Hold on. Donald Trump, when he brought in the whole idea of tariffs, would you agree that for the last 4 decades, we have had completely lopsided trade deals.
Anyway, and it goes on. He's about to try and so Parker Get a Job absolutely nailed him. And as I said, when I first met Sam Cedar, he discovered an interview that I'd done with Dave Rubin. And in my interview with Dave Rubin I told him about our healthcare system. I'd basically explained our healthcare system, and I said, "Why is your system better than ours?" Because, you know, the Americans always say, and I explained, like, I actually went down to the chemist and pharmacy and I got some drugs, and, you know, it was all free. I didn't pay anything. My mum, I explained about my mum passing away from motor neuron disease. She had a bed from Germany and a chair from Japan, didn't pay anything, no bill. You know, if I walk out the thing and I fall over and I break my ankle, I go to A&E, I walk out, no bill. Well, I hop out, no bill. And so I'm trying to say to him, so tell me why your health system is better than ours. And I'm just going to play you 15 or 20 seconds of this, and you'll see Sam up in the top right-hand corner commentate on it, because he picked up on this video as well.
Again, I want to give people as much choice as possible, but I view the health insurance thing as something like this. You pick probably 10, handful of private insurance companies. They all compete for services and prices, so you're hopefully keeping the costs down. Then you get the government to come in, and if they can figure out a way to subsidize some of the products or help some of the doctors or drive down those costs a little bit. And I know this is where my libertarians friends will say, hey, once you get the government involved, you've actually just inflated everything. But I think there is some way to do something that's part private and part public.
I think
I don't think
right there. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Rubin has just discovered the Affordable Care Act.
So
wherein
Dave Rubin was describing back to me Obamacare, which he rallies against. And so that's why you're getting headlines like this today, because of Jubilee. The MAGA host is fighting for his life after a viral video earned him the dubious new honor of dumbest man on the internet. MAGA host mocked after failing to name any of Trump's achievements. I just wanted to say to you one more time, Whanau, I'm sure you enjoyed it, but it's the best and perfect, and I've said it 100 times and I'll say it 100 more. When somebody wants to have an argument with you, what is your metric to measure that claim by? Parker Get a Job did it beautifully. Mwah. Chef's kiss. And Chewy, that is how you do a tangent.
That's pretty good. It's almost like you planned it.
Almost.
I do have a question, and it has been echoed in the chat. We're now an hour and 10 minutes into the show.
Yeah.
How are we going to fit in the entirety of Sunday's Q&A?
Well, I've got 3 clips to show.
For a total of 32 minutes? Is it the whole thing?
It's not the whole thing.
Because it's the bloodbath. I want to see some blood sport.
Well, we're going to show a couple of really interesting ones. We're going to talk about cuts causing human misery and how much child poverty costs New Zealand.
The other thing I'd say is like, we're talking about the Young Turks. That was like, when they were around and I guess relevant, they were like the hot new thing in
2015.
In the American
2015.
Left.
Bernie
the
pushing
hot new
through.
thing in the American left. And then they're all turned into demons. What happened?
I think, as unfortunate as it sounds, see, the good thing, Chewy, is I'm already old. But some people, they start off as ideologues and idealists in their 20s and 30s. And by the time they're in their 40s and 50s, they're like, I'd like to buy a house and there's no money on the left. And then they kind of go, meh. And, Anna Kasparian at the moment, of course, she has her things to do with the trans community and being completely offended by terms like birthing person and that kind of stuff. And I think there is this saying out there that if you're not liberal when you're young, you've got no heart. If you're not conservative when you're old, you've got no brain. Now, I don't agree with that. But you know what the truth in that is? I think the truth in that is every generation that follows becomes more liberal, becomes more progressive, becomes more left. So in other words, to a Generation Z, a Generation X looks like a boomer, and I just think that's how it works. And so these guys they've pushed the progressive barrow for a long time, young TYT that is, and they've probably got to a point where they're also media personalities realizing that it's actually really interesting, because the left in America in the media scape, the Independent, has been struggling a bit in the last 5 or 6 years. It seems to be going back the other way now. There's a real renaissance in it. But during that time where it was struggling, they seemed to make a conscious decision to be a bit more centristy. And so everyone turned away from them. And I think that's the thing. If you're basically build an audience and then shit on them with new positions. Everyone moves, right? Everyone is malleable. Everyone slightly changes and alters. But where you move to is kind of the opposite from where you were, then your audience is going to run.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people in chat saying, "Hey, look, I'm 63 and I'm more leftist than I've ever been. I myself am 46 this year, and I have a YouTube playlist of how to neutralize tear gas and what sort of arrows go through police shields, those sort of things. You know, just the same YouTube playlist that anybody has." I'm definitely not going to be able to get into America again.
No. Well, did you see actually? Speaking of, perfect segue. Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks, and I think Hassan as well, both got banned from entering the UK. And I watched a short clip with Cenk because I came across my algorithm in the weekend, and he said the only thing that he can see is because he has criticised Israel. And so because of that, they've labelled him anti-Semitic, and he can't even get into the UK. The UK has blocked him. Now, look, we can go back to criticising Cenk and Anna, or we can now go, here's this person, forget who they are, who have views contrary to a Zionist's approval, and that seems to be the reason he can't get into the UK. I mean, you went to the UK not long ago. Would there be any concern if you went this time? Has something changed over there?
I certainly don't have the same profile as those guys do, and I think that, honestly, that's the only difference.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, if we were a bigger...
Are you saying we're bigger? Are you saying we're bigger and so they're not going to fuck with us because they're much bigger? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. They're scared of the heat that I will bring on the UK government.
Yep.
Obviously. What else could it be, Pat? But yeah, I mean, it's a strange thing. Like, when you have had commentators, political influencers try to come here with some pretty abhorrent views, and we've gone, no thanks.
Yeah.
And often we'll follow Australia doing it and that sort of thing. And I think a country should always have, I guess, the right to sort of say, hey, look, we don't want you coming in and upsetting the apple cart in our society. And we can also stand here and criticize it when they get it wrong. Like, I think the UK has completely fumbled how to deal with what's happening in Israel and Gaza. And I think the UK has a long and troubling history on it, how it deals with, like, they're responsible for Zionism. It's their idea. They started it. They fucked up that entire part of the world by drawing random lines on a map. And now the only way that they can fix it is by arresting disabled people in wheelchairs, elderly nuns, and trying to not let people into the country that say that maybe Israel has gone too far. It's a weird position to be in, but it's through nobody else's fault but their own.
Yeah, it does make it is particularly interesting. I mean, to think that, like, for a long time, some of the most ardent, most hardcore Zionists would literally say, yes, being anti-Israel is anti-Semitic, which is obviously just the definition of idiocy to make that statement, to be critical of a government versus being critical of a faith-based position people are having. Not even critical, but to be basically racist towards it in a religious sense. That would be the difference. But it does make me think, you know, where are we? Where is the world going to if the UK has done that? It's just, and I know what you're saying of the history of and what, etc. But that's like, it feels like not just Israel's influence, but the right's influence in America, because that's heavily also in that same world of, if you're anti-Israel, you're you're an anti-Semite. And how much of the right in America is then influencing what's happening in the UK as well? I mean, remember that America sneezes and the world catches a cold. So,
and look, there is a significant portion of Jewish people who are anti-Zionist. Being Jewish doesn't mean that you're a Zionist. Being Zionist doesn't mean that you're Jewish. These are two separate things. And what Zionists want to happen is them not to be separate things, at least when Zionism's being criticized.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I I have had several conversations with Jewish New Zealanders that they're like, well, because this has given a lot of oxygen to people that do hate Jewish people.
I've
to
been
sort of
having
go,
this.
oh, now I can say the words. I can say I hate Israel, and it's fine. I've been saying I hate Israel for ages. Nobody's questioning me on why I hate Israel.
I had this very thought. I mean, like, I know we don't need to educate ourselves with this, but it's like there needs to be a really clear line of demarcation. And let's just talk about racism instead of anti-Semitism. But if someone has an opinion based on a person in Parliament who is not white because of their policies, cool. Because that's all that matters is the policies. If someone has an opinion that aligns with the person who is about their policy, but the reason they have that criticism is because of the color of their skin, that's a problem. It's also a problem, and we haven't said this for a long time because it hasn't been that relevant recently. You know, the other thing with Dave Rubin, and I saw this again over the weekend, is he was one of the guys who was involved with the tenant media Russia payments. And the thing that also is, I think it's really important as creators and stuff to go, who is consuming us and why? Now, if people are consuming us because we are, let's not say us, a content creator because they are ardently anti-melanin in the skin, and that's the reason, then that's a problem. If you're looking at, for example, the example we always use was Posey Parker. I mean, Nazis, actual Nazis, let's not get into the debate, would turn up to her protests to support her message. Why do Nazis want to support that message? Why does Russia want to funnel money to Dave Rubin and Tim Pool? Tim Pool and Dave Rubin weren't involved with taking money from the Kremlin, but the Kremlin was funneling money to those to support and amplify the words they're saying. If the Kremlin was funneling us money, even if we didn't set up an arrangement with them, but it was through an intermediary and we didn't know, the first thing I'd be doing is, why the hell does Russia want to support our message? What's wrong with our message? And they don't seem to do that. Like, I think it's important to always think about who supports you and why. And that is a reflectant on who you're trying to get. I mean, the most attractive, sexiest, tallest, most gorgeous people support us for obvious reasons. You're not going to get many people who think all those horrible things and want all those horrible things who are also, you know, into BHN. We know that. It says to me that the messages that we're putting out there are aligning with the right people, which means they're probably the right messages. Anyway, hey, I found this clip. Before we get off this, someone sent it to me in Magenta, actually. Credit where credit's due. Shall I see what this dude had to say? This thing? This is he was talking about Dave Rubin as well. Just out of I haven't seen this. We'll just have a look.
Yes. I searched for this. There's like one video of him talking about this with a guy from New Zealand, and he's basically like, I don't know. It seems good, but I have a different thing.
What's wrong with my healthcare in New Zealand? The US doesn't want healthcare like the rest of the Western world. Where have we got it wrong and you guys got it right?
Right.
So I will be completely honest with you. I don't know about your healthcare system enough, the New Zealand healthcare system
Look it up.
specifically. But if you mean broadly, you mean socialized healthcare. They all compete for services and prices, so you're hopefully keeping the costs down. Then you get the government to come in, and if they can figure out a way to subsidize some of the products or help some of the doctors or drive down those costs a little bit. And I know this is where my libertarians friends will say, hey, once you get the government involved, you've actually just inflated everything. But I think there is some way to do something that's part.
They cut out a bit in the middle. They cut out the bit that I was talking about what our healthcare was, like that, like the thing I said before about if I break my ankle, it's free. That was obviously cut during that scale down.
Private and part public.
I think.
I don't think we've perfected. Well, we certainly haven't perfected.
It seems to me for someone with.
Or, I don't know. If I were there, I would be like, I don't know. I was looking through your videos, and you're really upset and worked up. You're worked up in your little pants, your little khakis, about Zoran Mamdani. And you could be like, I don't know, one of the things he wants to do is go after, the worst, basically criminal landlords who have like huge. Like,
Anyway, we're going to have a look at that later on. I'll look at that for myself. Well, there you go. That was interesting to say he searched for that. And there's only one interview where he talks about it, and it's this guy.